Caretaker Matt here. Today I wanted to visit a movie that every kid in the 1980s loved, and that's Lost Boys. Lost Boys was one of the first movies to bring vampire genre to a young, hip punk crowd, which absolutely was amazing at the time. You had these really cool, beautiful young people who were vampires, but when they became vampires, they were hideous looking. So it kept with how vampires should be. You know, not your True Blood where they're just all beautiful and they fuck each other. This kept with the theme of vampirism where the vampires are hideous, but they're only hideous when they actually are vampires. So this movie stars a whole shit ton of people, too many to name, but the two main guys are Jason Patric and Kiefer Sutherland, who are both Hollywood royalty. Jason Patric is the son of Jason Miller, who is in The Exorcist, and his grandfather is Jackie Gleason. Kiefer Sutherland, obviously, father is Donald Sutherland from Invasion of the Body Snatchers. So both these guys are Hollywood royalty, especially in the horror genre. But there's so many other people in this movie. Corey Haim and Corey Feldman, and I mean, the list goes on and on. There's too many. But this movie was directed by Joel Schumacher, who went on to ruin Batman. But in this movie, he did a very good job because he blended horror and comedy and brought this young, hip crowd into horror, which hasn't really been done a lot before then. So this movie did that very well. There are some great scenes in it. There's great scares. The vampire transformations are great, and it sticks with the rules of vampirism as far as how they're killed. For the most part, the whole death by stereo one, yeah, well, kind of, I guess. But it's got some amazing lines, some memorable quotes that people still use to this day, at least those of us that grew up with it, and is just a good time. It's got an amazing soundtrack, and is pretty ahead of its time when it came out. So this movie is definitely worth a watch if you haven't seen it in a while, because it's pure 80s. It's fantastic with its punk rock stuff, and there's some pretty good character actors in this. The guy that plays the head vampire has been in a ton of stuff, and is great. Is great. Max is his name, and he is great as the main baddie. So when you get a chance, check this one out. It's definitely worth it, and it will show how we got to where we're at in vampire movies, because before this one, there wasn't a whole lot of beautiful vampire movies. This is the first one to suggest, like, oh wow, look at this. This is not the old lurking in the basement Nosferatu, Salem's Lot vampire. This can be beautiful people who, when they become vampires, become hideous looking. So give this one a watch, because it's fucking fantastic. This Caretaker Matt saying, if there's one thing about living in Santa Carla I just couldn't stomach, it's all the damn vampires. Over and out.